What's going on, guys? My name is Jake, and welcome back to Gax Reviews, and Merry Christmas. I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas, stayed safe, all that jazz, and there we got two brand new movies that came out, two big movies. I don't think we've had a weekend this year that's come with two massive releases like Wonder Woman 1984 and Disney Pixar's Soul. So we're going to talk about both of those, but before we get started, why don't you guys in that comment section below, have you seen these movies yet? Which one of them are your favorite? And let's get started with Wonder Woman. Diana Prince lives quietly among mortals in a vibrant, sleek 1980s, an era of excess driven by the pursuit of having it all. But soon, Diana will have to muster all of her strength, wisdom, and courage as she finds herself squaring off against Maxwell Lord and Cheetah, a villainess who possesses superhuman strength and agility. This is the much hyped up sequel to Wonder Woman, one of the best films in the DCEU, a franchise that I am very up and down on, like a lot of people are. I think it's kind of a mess at the moment, but I think when they focus in on their story and just deliver a really fun and over-the-top story, that's when I seem to like it the most. I like Aquaman for how ridiculous it is. I like the first Wonder Woman because it's a more scaled back until it gets to that ridiculous, horrible third act. And I just enjoy some of the direction that the DCU is moving. So I was excited to see what they're able to do with the newest film, with Patty Jenkins back as not only the director this time, but a screenwriter. And ultimately, having all of those pieces in the first movie, Chris Pine coming back, even though he was died in the first movie, how he was able to come back. It felt interesting to me, set in that era of the 80s. How did this movie deliver? I don't hate this movie like a lot of other people say. I'm going to start with that first because this movie has been getting absolutely reamed apart online. It started off at an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes when the first reviews came out. Since then, it has dropped down to a 62%. I don't think I've seen a movie drop that much, that low since its original release date and drop, and that's nuts to me. And I'm going to kind of try to unpack a little bit why I think it's getting some hate and some unnecessary hate. To start off first, I'm going to talk about the cast first because Gal Gadot is someone that I don't think is the best actress in the world, but I think she has done an incredible job as Wonder Woman and Diana Prince. She looks the part, obviously she looks exactly like her, but I think in this movie especially, she has a lot of emotional beats and a lot of emotional resonance with the audience that she does a really good job at carrying those emotional beats that are put upon her and telling her story. Her arc is by far the best part of this movie to me. Elsewhere, the other characters in this movie, Kristen Wiig, someone I was a little worried about coming into this, thinking, could she pull off a character role, a villain? She does that very well, too. She hones in her character, and it's a little weird the way they make her character evil. But I think for what she does a really good job with that. And Pedro Pascal, this guy has had some career this year. He just continues to kill it. Maxwell Lord is the goofiest, most corny, the vibrant, ridiculous character villain I have seen in a long time. He is so cliched, so over the top, but so fun to watch, and I think that's what makes him a really fun villain in this, because ultimately this just fits towards that 80s campy vibe. This feels like a callback to the old superhero movies that passed, those Richard Donner era-esque films, and I love that. I think that's probably the strongest part about Wonder Woman, is that this doesn't have a focus on action and more character development and exploring this world of the 80s, which I think they could have done a little bit more, but the parts that they did that I thought were really well done. However, the main issue that I have about this movie is the script, because you see what this movie revolves around and how weird it gets so quickly, because this all revolves around a wish stone, and characters get a hold of this wish stone and they grant their wishes, and the only way to come back is to rescind their wishes. I can't spoil more than that because I really want to. There's so much I can say about this, but it feels so like they didn't go through all more drafts of this, and it felt like they just were like, oh, this sounds good, we could do this, but never thought about the implications of that. And that happens almost every single scene in this movie once that stone becomes the prominent figure of the movie. And I did not like that, unfortunately. It helped add to that campy vibe and over-the-top vibe that I really like, but it reached past the point of unbelievability that even for me in a superhero movie had to suspend my disbelief a little bit more. I didn't enjoy that. However, this is not the bad movie that everyone is reaming it out to be. This is not nearly the worst superhero movie I've seen. And for a year that we haven't had any superhero movies, we had Birds of Prey earlier this year. I forgot that thing even came out. I think Wonder Woman 1984 does a really good job. It has some fun action sequences. Action sequences don't need to be in the heightened emphasis of every superhero movie, or else we're going to end up having a third act like we did in the first Wonder Woman. We don't need that. I really enjoyed the action sequences here. The performances are really fun. The score, Hans Zimmer's score, is exceptional, and this is a well-shot film. Patty Jenkins is a really good director. I'm excited to see her in Star Wars. I just wish the script was a little bit smarter and a little bit stronger and a little bit tighter, and they worked out a few kinks. But ultimately, I enjoyed this. I'm not going to go any higher than a 3. But I just think that people need to kind of chill. It's been a little bit over-reamed out, and I don't think it deserves that. I think it's a safe, fun movie that is a callback to the 80s era of superhero films, that if you are looking for a superhero movie to watch, you'll enjoy watching this. And next up we got is Pixar's Soul. Joe is a middle school band teacher whose life hasn't quite gone the way he expected. His true passion is jazz, and he's very good at it. But when he travels to another realm to help someone find their passion, he soon discovers what it means to have soul. So I have not been able to talk about Pixar on this channel yet, so I'm excited to talk about this movie for a couple reasons. Kind of talk about why I love Pixar so much and how that translates into Soul so well. To me, I'm going to state the obvious that everyone knows. Pixar is by far the best animated studio out there. You look at their history of filmography that they've had for the past 20, 25 years now. Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Up, WALL-E, Coco. All of these movies are phenomenal films and upper echelon of animated cinema that is going to stand the test of time. And I think a lot of that happens to do with the fact that they're not just animated films for kids. They resonate well with adults. And I think as I've grown up and I've moved out of my phase of being a child, because naturally that's what happens when you grow up, I've come to appreciate some of these films a lot more because I understand from the adult side of how these things resonate. Finding Nemo hits a lot more harder now, growing up, being in my 20s, knowing that could be your kid and losing that as your kid, and not so much viewing it off of Nemo's side, which I did as a kid. That's crazy. And I love how Pixar's films do this. And I think that Soul is very reminiscent of Inside Out, another film that, again, was really important at teaching kids themes about your emotions and how all of these emotions, joy, sadness, anger, disgust, all of these are very valid emotions that you're able to have. And you just have to know how to understand all of these emotions and how to let them help yourself live your life. And I think that's crazy, especially looking at that now, someone who has all of those emotions, like a basic human being, and someone who feels all those emotions and has difficulty showing all of them. That hits so much stronger now. And I think Soul falls into that same category, mainly because it's directed by Pete Docter. So there was a little bit of hesitation going into this, looking at the trailer, because you saw the character flossing. I got a little bit pulled back. It felt more like a Wreck-It Ralph type film, which I love, but it felt like they were going to be exploring a universe, that type of thing. Instead, we got a very different movie from what I was expecting, and ultimately one of the best films of the year. This might go down as my favorite film of the year. I think that what Pete Docter is able to do with, again, creating a film that resonates well with kids, that'll get kids' attention and teach them about a very serious topic, death. This film talks about life and death and what it's like to live a life full of not just going after something, the pursuit of happiness, achieving something that you think you're worth, but your life in general being worth something. You don't always have to live up to the expectation you hold yourself to. And that is something that is incredible storytelling and something that I think they do really well here. And they tell it through not just the story, not just the characters, but the animation is gorgeous. It's very unconventional in a lot of ways, especially when you get to that soul world. I just had a blast watching the way they unfolded this thing. The score, Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor put out probably the best score earlier in Mank. I think they just topped it in Soul. This might be my favorite score I've heard in years. It's that good, and it adds so much to this film. The different ways they're able to fuse from the great beyond, from the human world, from the soul world. All of these things are just so thematically and emotionally resonant that I felt so happy watching this thing, and it gave me the much needed boost of adrenaline and happiness that I needed going into the end of this year. Because I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, we have not had a lot of good movies this year, at least in my eyes. We've had good movies, but not stuff that's going to stick with me. There's been a lot of threes, there's been a lot of 3.5s. There has not been more of those 4.5s, and even 5. I have not given a film a single 5 this year. I think if there's one film that deserves it, it's Soul. Soul is the film that everyone needs to see. Everyone who's gone through something this year, everyone who feels like they're stuck in a rut, like they don't know what they're doing. This is a film that will help you feel that special again. And I think that Soul is incredible. Its characters, its animation, all that. It's a must watch. I'm going to give Soul a 5. Yeah, it shocked me, guys. I was not expecting this, but honestly, I can't go doubting Pixar ever again. I've tried. I don't know why. I go through this cycle. I see a new film. I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's going to be good. But every time it sticks the landing for me. And in a year where we had Onward, which I really liked, this just blew everything out of the water and is one hell of a way to end 2020 for films. That's going to wrap it up for my videos. I got 2 more videos coming out for you guys this year. I got my top 10 worst films of the year and my top 10 best films of the year. So get ready for those coming out, and that's going to wrap up this video. If you guys did enjoy it, if you could hit that like button and subscribe for more. But other than that, I have been Jake, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.